Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to, of course, the Friday review. Today I'm, of course, reviewing the Return studio album for, of course, Öyster Cult. That is The Symbol Remains, which was released through Frontiers Records on October 9th. It is their 15th studio album in over 2 decades, since, of course, 2001's Curse of the Hidden Mirror. And since then, there of course has been some lineup changes. This of course is the first studio album for of course Richie Castellano, who in 2004 had replaced the late Alan Lanier, who has sadly been dead for at least over a decade, so making this the first album without Alan Lanier. Now, of course, in many ways, actually, no. Though Albert Bouchard is on the record, but is providing backing vocals. Still, though, this is, of course, again, and in many ways, this might be the third full-length album for, of course, bass player Denny Miranda, who at least debuted sometime in at least the mid-90s. I know he definitely, for sure, as far as my memory is concerned, he definitely at least debuted on Heaven Forbid, in 1998, which was my introduction to Öyster Cult in the first place. Still, though, that may not be correct, but that could be correct. But I know for sure he's definitely been with the band for at least, pretty much for at this point, for a pretty close to at least 28 years, 22 years actually. It's been a pretty long time. He's been 25 years. It's been pretty long. So then, of course, as far as the drummer here, Jules Rodino, this is his first studio album with, of course, Öyster Cult. So with that, and as other information, I think at this point, Öyster Cult is such a big band to begin with. All of you should at least be familiar with everything they've done since the 70s and to the 80s and so on. And I should also definitely mention that the title of the album comes from a track, The Shadow of California, from their 1983 album, The Revolution by Night. So with that, let's just get into the album itself. Let's get into, of course, my review for The Symbol Remains. So here we go. Alright, so The Symbol Remains. Before I really get into my actual thoughts on the album, let me definitely run through, of course, the track listing, which there's at least about 14 songs on this album. Beginning with, of course, That Was Me, then, of course, Box in My Head, Tainted Blood, Nightmare Epiphany, Edge of the World, The Machine, Train True, Lenny's Song, The Return of Saint Cecilia, Stand and Fight, Florida Man, The Alchemist, Secret Road, There's a Crime, and Fight. So, with these 14 songs, usually at least, at least the members Eric Bloom and Buck Dahmer at least trade off at least with, at least singing on some of these songs. Usually they get at least a good number. Since there's at least 14 songs on this album, surprisingly, the new member, Richie Castellano, at least is able to at least sing on at least 3 songs on the album. Of course, since, of course, his time in the him at least debuting the band, since then he at least for at least the songs that Alan Lanier would sing on, he of course would sing on himself, especially live, especially when he would sing Hot Rails to Hell, which I actually remember him at least singing when I at least saw Öyster Cult back in 2010 when they played for free at the Reno Cook-Off. Or the barbecue cook-off or so. Yeah, they did that. And it was a pretty cool show. It was great. So that was my first taste of Richie Castellano in Öyster Cult. So with that, besides Richie Castellano is able to at least three songs, Eric Bloom and Buck Dahmer are at least sing on their majority of songs. Eric Bloom at least has about 5 songs on this album, and Buck Dahmer sings about at least 6 songs on the album. So there we go. Okay. let's definitely get into it. Let's definitely just begin with, of course, Richie Castellano, which again, he does have 3 songs. And between at least the 3 songs, there's at least only 2 here I really dig the most. For one, I do have to kind of talk about this. That is Tainted Blood, which was written by both Eric Bloom and Richie Castellano. As far as his vocal style is, he's very different from Buck Dharma and Eric Bloom. He's got a more smoother voice. At times, I almost want to say very AOR-ish at times. I tend to get a little bit of Lou Gramm vibes from his voice. That again, it's just because of it's mostly comes from at least how smoother his voice is compared to at least the other 2. And so in many ways, he does kind of fit these songs. I think in many ways, for sure, Tainted Blood on the hand, which at first listen, it didn't grab me as much. But again, on subsequent listens, this song did kind of grow on me, and to where I actually appreciate a lot of this song. This song was definitely made specifically for Richie's voice. It is made for this. It's a very nice power ballad that has that Blue Oyster Cult flavor to it. That's the best way I can sum it up. Again, it's got them Blue Oyster Cult trademarks from, of course, from the gang shouting vocals, or at least again the sing along stuff. You know, they're at least are able to the backing vocals and all that. Again, the layered vocals and that it works, and Richie definitely, again, this song was made specifically for him. So in many ways, I've come to really dig the track a lot. And the second track, and that I really like, and it is my personal favorite Richie Castellano track on the album, but that is The Return of Saint Cecilia, which was actually written by longtime writer Richard Meltzer, who of course has wrote plenty of their classic songs, dating at least, for at least, I would want to say until, to at least Agents of Fortune, Spectres. He's definitely did to those 2, and the thing is, this song right here, it's a hard rocker backed by them signature Blue Oyster Cult hooks. This track would have fit on Spectres, right next to rockers like Are You Ready to Rock? And of course, the golden age of leather. This track right here, it's a straight up hard rocker with plenty of hooks, and Richie just owns this track. He definitely fits. I mean, this would have sounded great with also Eric Bloom singing, but at the same time, I can see why they at least chose Richie to sing this track. Again, it's definitely one of my personal favorites, but Tainted Blood is definitely not far behind because of just how much that track is definitely grown on me. The Time Machine track, it's definitely a fun, decent rocker, but it's probably not my favorite song on the album. But still, it's far from a bad song. So there you go. There's at least my thoughts on the Richie Castellano tracks. Now, on to the Eric Bloom tracks here, which again, like I've stated, he at least has 5 songs on it. And between these 5 songs, the track That Was Me, which is the song that opens up the album, which was written by John Shirley, who of course I would say he began writing beginning with Heaven Forbid from 1998. It's a smoking, heavy opener that combines the heaviness of Heaven Forbid and the otherworldly atmosphere of Cultosaurus Erectus. And the thing is, in the middle of this track, right where the guitar solo is, they kind of go into this pseudo-reggae kind of beat and feel to it, which again, it just gives it that very almost that classic Blue Oyster Cult feel. I mean, to me, that's why I say it really combines that otherworldly aspect of Cultosaurus Erectus, which is pretty much one of my favorite Blue Oyster Cult albums, and it was also one I was able to at least spotlight as a Album of the Week episode on this channel when it at least hit its 40th anniversary. So it's definitely one of my high points for this album in general. As far as the other Eric Bloom tracks, Edge of the World is a pretty good track too. Again, it's a slow, moody track with a melodic groove to it and a melodic hook as well. I really dig this track as well. Stand and Fight. Oh my god. This track right here, which sees the band embracing a more metal approach to their writing. And it's heavy. This definitely at times almost has a little bit of that Judas Priest kind of flavor to it. More so modern era Judas Priest. Hell, at times even a Halford-esque track. Something that would have been, not too far off of Resurrection from Halford. Definitely, it's a great fucking track. However, the best songs on this album has to be The Alchemist. Oh my god. This track is absolutely... this is by far one of the crown jewels for this album. And in many ways, this is probably the best song I think Bloodstickle has written in a long fucking time. I mean, I've dug some of those songs again on Heaven Forbid, and here and there on Curse of the Hidden Mirror, and even I've digged some of the songs that they had at least written, that was on Imaginos. But as far as just containing that really great feel, that almost feels like it should be at least a live staple in their set list. This track is just absolutely great. This is also probably one of the longer songs on the album, because this pretty much clocks in at 6 minutes. But my god, the way it starts out very slow. I mean, the lyrics for this track was inspired from, of course, the H.P. Lovecraft story of the same name. And they were able to at least adapt this into a great freaking track. I mean, it's so constructed great. I mean, it starts out slow, almost at times reminding me a little bit of Astronomy off of Secret Treaties. The way it just that slow, heavy build, and the way it just has that. But towards the middle where the guitar solo is, oh my god, this part to where it really, you could tell they are obviously telling a story with this track. They start really adding in more of that metal aspect to it. And this time, very almost, I've heard some people definitely compare it to like Iron Maiden. But I think in many ways, it just has more of that classic, almost... At times, just speed metal aspect to it. It's very melodic. Again, the double bass drums just kick in. It just really gives this song just a great fucking feel. And then, towards the end, to me, after the song was over, I'm like, my jaw dropped. I just could not believe that they're able to pull out this much fucking energy for this one song. This is absolutely amazing. One of the definitely one of the best songs off this album in general. I love this song. So The Alchemist is a great, and Eric Bloom, this was obviously perfect for him as well. And again, I have to say, this is probably the best sequel to Astronomy in many ways as well. Just a fantastic song. Definitely, and also this was also a music video was also made for this song as well, and that's fucking cool as well. So there, The Alchemist, just a great track, and in many ways, again, one of my absolute favorites on the album, and it's one of the best songs with Eric Bloom on vocals. So there we go. That pretty much at least ends his half, at least, of the album. Now it's on to, of course, the Buck Dharma part, at least, of his portion of course, the album. Which, again, he at least has 6 songs on this album. Again, sings 6 songs. And between these 6, Box in My Head, which was written by John Shirley, this right here, it captures the spirit of what made tracks like Burnin' For You so catchy. And again, it does kind of harken a little bit back to that, for sure, that Fire of Unknown Origin style of feel. It does kind of go back a little bit to that. Again, this is a great radio song. This right here, again, should be at least a good radio hit, for sure. And definitely ones that probably should be played in any movie to begin with. It's definitely a great track. Again, it just has that, it's just catchy. Again, sing-along choruses, just perfect. So there you go. That's definitely one of the best, one of the songs I really dig. Another one that I also dig off of here is Nightmare Epiphany, which is a groovy track with hooks that is built around Dharma's signature tone. There's another great track for sure. Train True, Lenny's song. This track dials back the time line a bit. It definitely dials the time a bit all the way back to the early 70s. I get some vibes of the Red and the Black a little bit, with the mostly from the sort of boogie beat of this track, and even from the guitar tone and the production. Again, the one thing about this album, for each of these songs, they have their own identity, even meaning also its own production and mixing. They got their own freaking identity, and this track right here wouldn't have been too far off on at least an album like Tyranny of Mutation or Secret Treaties, in my opinion. It just definitely retains that classic, again, straight up, get down and boogie rock and roll feel that they were definitely, at least, were known in at least that time period. Again, it's very similar to, of course, at times the Red and the Black, and just in terms of its groove. It's a great track for sure, and it's definitely one of my favorites off this album. Florida Man. Whoa, boy. This is a moody track that tells the tale. The tale of the Florida Man. A internet meme. Now, let's definitely kind of get into this. I definitely want to kind of bring you up to speed. I got Wikipedia on, but to bring you up to speed about Florida Man. Florida Man is an internet meme popularized in 2013, in which the phrase Florida Man is taken from various unrelated news articles describing people who hail from or live in Florida. Internet users typically submit links to news stories and articles about unusual or strange crimes or events occurring in Florida, particularly those where Florida Man is mentioned in a headline and has been wreaking madness among social media. The story recalls, or at least calls attention to Florida's supposed notoriety for strange and unusual events. News Times claimed that freedom of information laws in Florida make it easier for journalists to obtain information and arrest from the police than in other states, and that is responsible for the large number of news articles. A CNN article on this meme suggested that the breadth of reports of bizarre Florida Man activities is due to an influence of factors including public records laws, giving journalists fast and easy access to police reports, the relatively high and diverse population of the state, highly vulnerable weather, and the lack of mental health funding. So that's kind of at least the base. I know I might have read the full, at least, of that synopsis there, but that where we now finally lead into, of course, that it's crazy that this inspired, but this is at least a quote from, of course, Buck Dharma. Of course, John Shirley helped in writing this track, but this is at least a quote from Buck Dharma, also known as Donald Rozier. This is his quote on the writing for this song. I wanted to write a song about the Florida Man as a folk legend, such as Pecos Pete or Paul Bunyan, Roser told the Miami Herald in an email. I also wanted to present the Florida Man as somewhat sympathetic. I imagined there was a reason for his behavior, and in the Blue Öyster Cult song, the story tells of the ancient Seminole curse dating back to the conquistadors. So they definitely they were able to give this ridiculous story, or this whole phenomenon that, again, dated back to, of course, 2013, and was able to give it the sort of odd, weird, out of this world Blue Öyster Cult treatment, kind of like what they did with Joan Crawford off of Fire of Unknown Origin, where they definitely made that into a crazy fucking track in its own right, and where they did a music video that, well, didn't get aired because it was banned. Still, though, they were able to did that. They did that, and they just turned out. I should also kind of mention some of this, where apparently also in this song, again, what is this? Where I kind of find this little part here. This track introduces listeners to characters like a Miami nurse who snatches a purse and drives in reverse down the highway, Beth, who is high on meth with the neighbor's cat on her breath, and Lee, who drives through a plate of glass and blames Alice's caterpillar. So again, it's a bit of that humor as well in Blue Öyster Cult, which is just something they're known for. But right here, this track definitely showed a little bit of how creative Öyster Cult definitely gets with their track. And it's a great track too. I love the atmosphere of this song. Again, like I said, it's a very moody track, but it fits perfectly for Öyster Cult's character, their character as songwriters. It definitely fits that, and it fits the theme for sure. It's definitely a great track in its own right. Now, finally, the other track that I also dig from Öyster Cult, which of course is Fight, which was also written by John Shirley, which ends the album. It's a slow, calm, melodic track that has that Dharma charm. Definitely, again, I just love this track as well. I think at first, it's kind of weird at first when I first heard the track, at least without having hearing the rest of the album. But when listening to the album as a whole and then finally getting to it, it's like a perfect ending to the album. It's a perfect ending. Could have also been seen as maybe a great ending to their career if they were able to, at least if they decide to end on this album. This is definitely a great. I also love some of the lyrics in this song. This is almost at times even a very symbolistic, if you can say. It definitely has some symbolism. It for sure definitely gives you a good idea as well. I just love every bit of the phrasing of here. It wasn't much of a fight, and so on. I think this is just a great, perfect ending to this album. So, just a great freaking album in its own right. So, there we go. There is The Symbol Remains, the 15th studio album from Öyster Cult. As far as my rating, it's a 9.85 out of 10. This is really close to me. This was at times, I mean, not everything I say I think is perfect on this album. For what they were able to at least construct with this album, it's absolutely great. I think it's perfect in its own right, but to me, as far as when it comes to rating, there's definitely at least some stuff I might knock down, but still, as a whole, this is still enjoyable. There's really nothing wrong on this album to begin with. I mean, for packing at least 14 songs and at least clocking it all around at least 61 minutes, I think what they're able to do, they were able to at least construct a very enjoyable album that at times even goes beyond to being just an enjoyable album, but just being a great album in general. As far as also, since of course Curse of the Hidden Mirror, this is by far way better than Curse of the Hidden Mirror in every aspect. This is a perfect album in that all that regards. They definitely sound more energized. They sound like they definitely were having the time of their life when recording this. Just definitely, they definitely gave it every bit of their all in the sound. For at least to the age that Eric Bloom and Buck Dharma are in, they obviously gave it every bit of their all with this album. They went into the studio and basically went down the business. Just a great freaking album from them. Definitely. I've seen some people saying this is probably the best since Fire Run on Origin. Now, I don't know if I can go that far. I wouldn't go that far, even though I really enjoy this. I would put it up there next to some of my favorite Öyster Cult albums. And that's not really blasphemous to say. I really feel that. This is, I think, is a great, solid album from, of course, Öyster Cult, and definitely one of their finest albums, and definitely in over, God, and I was saying over 22 years. I really dug albums like Heaven Forbid to begin with, and this album, I think, again, belongs next to that, and it belongs even next to also other great albums like Cultosaurus or Erectus, and at times also I have to at least agree with, of course, 500 Origin. I think this is a great album. So there you go. This album has been out since October 9th, and I know since then some of you have definitely heard this album. Again, as those who are subscribed to me are at least fans of Öyster Cult. So definitely since then, I know all of you have heard it. So again, definitely leave your thoughts in the comments section. Again, if you have any thoughts, leave it in the comments section. If you haven't heard this album and you are a Öyster Cult fan, I definitely recommend checking out The Symbol Remains. You might dig it or you might not dig it. That's all up to you. So I think that this was a solid album to begin with. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. This is every Thrash Sam out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.